The Guide. B. Specification section. 4. Chapter 216 Modes of Conveying. Combined Treatment. 489. It was said as follows. 16 Conveyings first, surveying. With plotting then of the directions, and having collected with the hook. 3 guidelines demonstrate a thread. 490. Now where is a demonstration of that to be found? In the modes of conveying in combined treatment. 1. 491. Herein, what is the mode of conveying a teaching in combined treatment? It is, for example, as follows, with an unguarded cognizance, encumbered by wrong view, oppressed by lethargy and drowsiness, one travels on in Mara's power. 492. What does with an unguarded cognizance teach? Negligence. That is the state of mortality. 493. Encumbered by wrong view. One is called encumbered by wrong view when he sees permanence in the impermanent. That is a perversion. Now what is the characteristic of a perversion? A perversion has the characteristic of distorted apprehension. What does it pervert? 3 ideas, namely perception, cognizance, and view. What does it cause perversion in? The 4 grounds for selfhood. It does so as follows. He sees form as self, or self as possessed of form, or form in self or self in form. Likewise with feeling, perception, determinations, and consciousness. 494. Herein, form is the first ground for perversion, namely that there is beauty in the ugly. Feeling is the second ground for perversion, namely that there is pleasure in the painful. Perception and determinations are the third ground for perversion, namely that there is self in the not self. And consciousness is the fourth ground for perversion, namely that there is permanence in the impermanent. 495. 2 ideas are corruptions of cognizance. They are craving and ignorance. Cognizance shut in, hindered by craving is perverted by the 2 perversions that there is beauty in the ugly and that there is pleasure in the painful. Cognizance shut in, hindered by ignorance is perverted by the 2 perversions that there is permanence in the impermanent and that there is self in the not self. 496. Herein, any perversion of view sees past form as self, sees past feeling, past perception, past determinations, sees past consciousness as self. 497. Herein, any perversion of craving expectantly relishes future form, expectantly relishes future feeling, future perception, future determinations, expectantly relishes future consciousness. 498. 2 ideas are imperfections of cognizance. They are craving and ignorance. It is when purified from these that cognizance is purified. 499. Of those who have ignorance for their hindrance and craving for their fetter, no first beginning is evident as they run on and go the roundabout, now in hell, now among animals, now in the ghost realm, now in the body of the Azura demons, now among gods, now among men. 500. Oppressed by lethargy and drowsiness. Lethargy is any unhealthiness, unwieldiness of cognizance. Drowsiness is any sloth of the body. 501. One travels on in Mara's power. He travels on in the power of Mara, the death dealer, as defilement and Mara as creature. For he faces the roundabout of births. 502. Now these 2 truths have been taught by the Blessed One. Suffering and its origin. The Blessed One teaches the true idea for their diagnosis and abandoning. For the diagnosis of suffering and for the abandoning of its origin. That by way of which one diagnoses and that by way of which one abandons is the path. The abandoning of craving and of ignorance is cessation. These are the 4 truths. 503. That is why the Blessed One said, with an unguarded cognizance. 504. That is why the Venerable Mahakakana said, gratification, disappointment, escape, fruit, means the Blessed Ones. Injunction to devotees, this mode, is the conveying of a teaching. The mode of conveying a teaching in combined treatment is ended. The Guide. B. Specification section. 4. Chapter 216 Modes of Conveying. Combined treatment, continued. 2. 505. Herein, what is the mode of conveying an investigation in combined treatment? It is, for example, as follows. 506. Herein, craving is of 2 kinds, profitable and unprofitable. While the unprofitable kind goes with the roundabout, the profitable kind is craving for abandoning, which goes with dispersal. 507. Also, conceit is of two kinds, profitable and unprofitable. Any conceit supported by which one abandons conceit is profitable. But any conceit which makes suffering occur is unprofitable conceit. 508. Herein, as an example, in the case of the grief that has for its support the renunciation, described thus. When shall I enter upon by verification and abide in that base, which peaceful base the noble ones enter upon by verification and abide in? And longing arises in him, and grief with the longing as its condition, such craving is profitable, for there being the heart deliverance due to fading of lust. Such craving is profitable in having that for its object. 509. Now there is also the understanding deliverance due to fading of ignorance. What is the basis for investigation of that? Investigation of the 8-factored path. 510. The basis for that is the 8 path factors: right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. 511. Where is an example of investigation of that to be found? In, as the most outstanding instance, the perfection of the fourth meditation. For in the fourth meditation cognizance is kept in being possessed of 8 factors. It is quite purified, quite bright, unblemished, rid of imperfection, malleable, wieldy, steady, and attained to imperturbability. He who has attained this perfection of the fourth meditation then arrives at an 8-fold state, namely the 6 kinds of acquaintanceship with supernormal power and the 2 distinctions, that is, the mind made body and insight knowledge. 512. When that cognizance is quite purified, it is quite bright. When quite bright, unblemished. When unblemished, rid of imperfections. When rid of imperfections, malleable. When malleable, wieldy. When wieldy, steady. When steady, it is attained to imperturbability. 513. Herein, blemish and imperfection both belong to the side of craving, and any perturbation and unsteadiness of cognizance belong to the side of views. 514. For faculties, namely the bodily pain faculty, the mental grief faculty, the bodily pleasure faculty, and the mental joy faculty, cease in the fourth meditation. In that, the onlooking equanimity faculty is left. This meditator gives attention to the next higher attainment as more peaceful. When he gives attention to the next higher attainment as more peaceful, his perception of grossness shapes itself to the fourth meditation, and his perception of resistance reaches upwards to something better. 515. With complete surmounting of perceptions of form, with disappearance of perceptions of resistance, and with no attention to perceptions of difference, aware that space is infinite, he enters upon by realization and abides in the attainment of the base consisting of infiniteness of space. 516. The directive management of cognizance in the kinds of acquaintanceship with supernormal power is perception of form. The constituting of diversity is perception of difference. He surmounts these and his perception of resistance disappears. 517. Such is concentration. When he is concentrated, his illumination vanishes and also his seeing of forms. 518. That kind of concentration can be reviewed as possessing 6 factors. 1. My notion of all the world is accompanied by non-covetousness. 2. My cognizance of all creatures is unaffected by ill will. 3. My energy is instigated and exerted. 4. My body is tranquilized and uninstigated. 5. My cognizance is concentrated and undistracted. 6. My mindfulness is established and unforgotten. 519. Herein, any notion unaccompanied by covetousness about all the world, and any cognizance of all creatures unaffected by ill will, and any energy instigated and exerted, and any concentrated undistracted cognizance. These are quiet. But the tranquilized body remaining uninstigated is the requisite for concentration, and the mindfulness established unforgettingly is insight. 520. That kind of concentration can be understood in 5 ways as follows. 1. This concentration has presently arisen pleasure. This is how his knowing and seeing are manifested in himself. And this concentration has future pleasant ripening. This is how his knowing and seeing are manifested in himself. 2. This concentration is noble and unmaterialistic. This is how his knowing and seeing are manifested in himself. 3. This concentration is not cultivated by trivial men. This is how his knowing and seeing are manifested in himself. 4. This concentration is both the most peaceful and the superior goal, and it has gained tranquility and arrived at singleness and does not have to be protected from defilement with the deterrence of prompting determinations. This is how his knowing and seeing are manifested in himself. 5. Now I attain this concentration mindful and emerge from it mindful. This is how his knowing and seeing are manifested in himself. 521. Herein, any concentration that has presently arisen pleasure and any concentration that has future pleasant ripening are quiet. And any concentration that is noble and unmaterialistic, and any concentration that is not cultivated by trivial men, and any concentration that is the most peaceful and the superior goal, and has gained tranquility and has arrived at singleness and does not have to be protected from defilement, with the deterrence of prompting determinations, and any concentration of which one is aware. Now I am in attainment of this concentration mindful, and I emerge from it mindful, are insight. 522. That concentration can be understood again in 5 ways, as follows. Extension of happiness, extension of pleasure, extension of cognizance, extension of light, and the sign of concentration. 523. Herein, any extension of happiness, any extension of pleasure, any extension of cognizance are quiet, while any extension of light and any extension of reviewing are insight. 524. There are the 10 bases of wholeness. Wholeness of earth, solidity. Wholeness of water, cohesion. Wholeness of fire, temperature. Wholeness of air, force. Wholeness of blue-black, wholeness of yellow, wholeness of red, wholeness of white, wholeness of space, and wholeness of consciousness. 525. Herein the wholeness of earth down to the wholeness of white. These 8 wholenesses are quiet, while the wholeness of space and the wholeness of consciousness are insight. 526. In this way the whole noble path, in whatever way it is stated, can be construed accordingly as quiet and insight. 527. These ideas are comprised by 3 ideas, by impermanence, by painfulness, and by not-self. 528. Consequently, when he keeps in being quiet and insight, he keeps in being the 3 gateways to liberation. When he keeps in being the 3 gateways to liberation, he keeps in being the 3 categories of virtue, concentration, and understanding. When he keeps in being the 3 categories, he keeps in being the noble 8-factored path. 529. A person of lusting temperament finds outlet by the signless gateway to liberation, training by the training in higher cognizance, abandoning greed as a root of unprofit, not approaching contact to be felt as pleasant, diagnosing pleasant feeling, washing out the stain of lust, shaking off the dust of lust, vomiting forth the poison of lust, extinguishing the fire of lust, extracting the barb of lust, and disentangling the tangle of lust. 530. A person of hating temperament finds outlet by the dispositionless gateway to liberation, training by the training in higher virtue, abandoning hate as a root of unprofit, not approaching contact to be felt as painful, diagnosing painful feeling, washing out the stain of hate, shaking off the dirt of hate, vomiting forth the poison of hate, extinguishing the fire of hate, extracting the barb of hate, and disentangling the tangle of hate. 531. A person of deluded temperament finds outlet by the void gateway to liberation, training by the training in higher understanding, abandoning delusion as a root of unprofit, not approaching contact to be felt as neither painful nor pleasant, diagnosing neither painful nor pleasant feeling, washing out the stain of delusion, shaking off the dirt of delusion, vomiting forth the poison of delusion, extinguishing the fire of delusion, extracting the barb of delusion, and disentangling the tangle of delusion. 532. Herein, the void gateway to liberation is the understanding category, the signless gateway to liberation is the concentration category, and the dispositionless gateway to liberation is the virtue category. When he keeps in being the 3 gateways to liberation, he keeps in being the 3 categories, and when he keeps in being the 3 categories, he keeps in being the noble 8-factored path. 533. Herein, right speech, right action, and right livelihood are the virtue category. Right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration are the concentration category. Right view and right intention are the understanding category. 534. Herein, the virtue category and the concentration category are quiet, while the understanding category is insight. 535. When anyone keeps in being quiet and insight, two factors of being are kept in being in him, namely the body and cognizance. And the way leading to the cessation of being is the two basic stages, namely virtue and concentration. This bhikkhu has kept the body in being, kept virtue in being, kept concentrated cognizance in being, and kept understanding in being. 536. While the body is kept in being, two ideas also are kept in being, namely right action and right effort. While virtue is kept in being, two ideas also are kept in being, namely right speech and right livelihood. While concentrated cognizance is kept in being, two ideas also are kept in being, namely right mindfulness and right concentration. While understanding is kept in being, two ideas also are kept in being, namely right view and right intention. 537. Herein, the right action and the right effort may be bodily and may be mental. 538. Herein, what is comprised within the body is also kept in being when the body is kept in being, and what is comprised within the mental is also kept in being when concentrated cognizance is kept in being. 539. When he keeps in being quiet and insight, he arrives at the fivefold arrival. There is arrival at quickness, there is arrival at deliverance, there is arrival at greatness, there is arrival at abundance, and there is arrival at remainderlessness. 540. Herein, arrival at quickness and arrival at greatness and arrival at abundance come about through quiet, while arrival at deliverance and arrival at remainderlessness come about through insight. Investigation of the 10 powers of a perfect one. 541. Herein, he who gives the teaching is the master possessed of the 10 powers, and he does not mislead his hearers with his advice. He gives advice in 3 ways. Do this. Do it by this means. When that is done, it will be for your welfare and pleasure. Knowledge of instance and no instance. 542. That, on being thus advised and thus instructed, and thus doing and thus practicing the way, he will not reach that plane. No such instance is found. That, on being thus advised and thus instructed, he should reach that plane without perfecting the virtue category. No such instance is found. That being thus advised and thus instructed, he should reach that plane when he perfects the virtue category. Such an instance is found. 543. That anyone will accuse a perfect one with truth. Although you are fully enlightened, have discovered completely, yet these ideas have not been discovered by you. No such instance is found. That anyone will accuse a perfect one with truth. Although you have quite exhausted all taints, yet these taints are unexhausted in you. No such instance is found. That anyone will accuse a perfect one with truth. When the true idea is taught to someone by you, it does not, when he gives effect to it, give outlet for him to complete exhaustion of suffering. No such instance is found. That anyone will accuse a perfect one with truth. When a hearer practices the way of ideas in accordance with the true idea, practices the way properly, conducts himself according to the true idea, he will not verify any arrival at progressively higher distinctions. No such instance is found. That anyone will accuse a perfect one with truth. Ideas called obstructions by you are not sufficiently so to obstruct the pursuer of them. No such instance is found. 544. That ideas which do not give outlet should, when someone practices them, give him outlet to the complete exhaustion of suffering. No such instance is found. That ideas which give outlet should, when someone practices them, give him outlet to the complete exhaustion of suffering. Such an instance is found. 545. That anyone will accuse a perfect one with truth. Your hearers will, with trace still left, reach the extinction element without trace left. No such instance is found. 546. That one perfected in his view, as a stream enter or higher, should deprive his mother of life or assassinate her by hand or foot. No such instance is found. That an ordinary man, who has not attained the path, should deprive his mother of life or assassinate her by hand or foot. Such an instance is found, likewise with a father and an arahant bhikkhu, that one perfected in his view should cause a schism in the community or should create dissension in the community. No such instance is found. That an ordinary man should cause a schism in the community or should create dissension in the community. Such an instance is found. That one perfected in his view should with cognizance of hate shed a perfect one's blood. or should with cognizance of hate destroy the monument of a perfect one attained to extinction. No such instance is found. That an ordinary man should with cognizance of hate shed a perfect one's blood, or with cognizance of hate destroy the monument of a perfect one attained to extinction. Such an instance is found. That one perfected in his view should confess another master even for the sake of a livelihood. No such instance is found. That an ordinary man should confess another master. Such an instance is found. 547. That one perfected in his view should try someone outside to make offerings to. No such instance is found. That an ordinary man should try someone outside to make offerings to. Such an instance is found. That one perfected in his view should expect purification through the kind of good omen that is open to the tumult of debate. No such instance is found. That an ordinary man should resort for purification to the kind of good omen that is open to the tumult of debate. Such an instance is found. 548. That a wheel-turning monarch might be female. No such instance is found. That a wheel-turning monarch might be male. Such an instance is found. That Saka ruler of gods might be female. No such instance is found. That Saka ruler of gods might be male. Such an instance is found. That Mara the evil one might be female. No such instance is found. That Mara the evil one might be male. Such an instance is found. That the high divinity might be female. No such instance is found. That the high divinity might be male. Such an instance is found. That a perfect one accomplished and fully enlightened might be female. No such instance is found. That a perfect one accomplished and fully enlightened might be male. Such an instance is found. That in a single world element two perfect ones accomplished and fully enlightened might contemporaneously arise and teach the true idea. No such instance is found. That in a single world element one perfect one accomplished and fully enlightened might arise and teach the true idea. Such an instance is found. 549. That the ripening of the three kinds of misconduct, by body, speech and mind, will be wished for, desired, likable and agreeable. No such instance is found. That the ripening of the three kinds of misconduct will be unwished for, undesired, dislikable and disagreeable. Such an instance is found. That the ripening of the three kinds of good conduct will be unwished for, undesired, dislikable and disagreeable. No such instance is found. That the ripening of the three kinds of good conduct will be wished for, desired, likable and agreeable. Such an instance is found. 550. That a certain monk or divine who is a schemer, a persuasive talker, a hinter, giving precedence to scheming, persuasive talk and hinting, without abandoning the five hindrances, defilements of the heart that weaken understanding, without keeping in being the seven enlightenment factors, while abiding with mindfulness unestablished in the four foundations of mindfulness, will discover the unsurpassed complete enlightenment. No such instance is found. That a certain monk or divine who is rid of all faults, abandoning the five hindrances, defilements of the heart that weaken understanding, and keeping in being the seven enlightenment factors, while abiding with mindfulness established in the four foundations of mindfulness, will discover the unsurpassed complete enlightenment. Such an instance is found. 551. Knowledge as to cause and as to instance about this unlimitedly is called the perfect one's first power, consisting in knowledge of instance and non-instance. 2. Knowledge of the way that leads anywhere. 552. All who come under the instance and non-instance just mentioned are inseparable from the idea of exhaustion, from the idea of subsidence, from the idea of fading, from the idea of ceasing. Some pass on to heaven, some pass on to states of unease, some pass on to extinction. This is why the Blessed One said, all creatures will most surely die, because the end of life is death. According to their acts they go, reaping merits and evil's fruits. Evildoers pass on to hell. Merit makers pass on to heaven. Others maintain the path in being, and find extinction free from taints. 553. All creatures noble and ignoble, those included in embodiment and those beyond embodiment, will die by the two kinds of death, namely by sluggish death and by non-sluggish death. Non-sluggish death is that of those included in embodiment and sluggish death is that of those beyond embodiment. Because the end of life is death, the complete ending of life, the complete ending by death, comes with exhaustion of the lifespan, with surcease of the faculties. According to their acts they go means ownership of action. Reaping merits and evil's fruits means the state of seeing the fruits of acts and non-separation from them. Those who have made determinations of demerit, being evildoers, pass on to hell, while merit makers pass on to heaven. Those who have made determinations of merit will go to a good destination. Others maintain the path in being and find extinction free from taints, means the surmounting of all determinations. That is why the Blessed One said, all creatures, extinction free from taints. 554. All creatures will most surely die because the end of life is death. According to their acts they go reaping merits and evil's fruits. Evildoers pass on to hell is the two extreme ways of luxury and of penance. Others maintain the path in being and find extinction free from taints is the middle way. 555. All creatures will most surely die because the end of life is death. According to their acts they go reaping merits and evil's fruits. Evildoers pass on to hell. This is corruption. This is how the roundabout is made to occur. 556. All creatures will most surely die. Evildoers pass on to hell. There are these three rounds: the round of suffering, the round of action, and the round of defilement. Others maintain the path in being and find extinction free from taints is the stopping non-occurrence of the three rounds. 557. All creatures will most surely die. Evildoers pass on to hell is the disappointment. The merit makers pass on to heaven is the gratification. Others maintain the path in being and find extinction free from taints is the escape. 558. All creatures will most surely die. Evildoers pass on to hell is cause and fruit. The five categories are the fruit and the craving the cause. Others maintain the path in being and find extinction free from taints is the path and its fruit. 559. All creatures will most surely die. Evildoers pass on to hell is corruption. That corruption is of three kinds: corruption by craving, corruption by views, and corruption by misconduct. Herein, corruption by craving can be demonstrated by the three kinds of craving, namely craving for sensual desires, craving for being, and craving for non-being, that is, by the three kinds of misconduct, namely bodily misconduct and verbal misconduct, as the former, and mental misconduct as the latter. Its detail is the 10 unprofitable courses of action. Others maintain the path in being and find extinction free from taints is cleansing. Now this cleansing is also of three kinds, that is to say, corruption by craving is purified by quiet, and that quiet is the concentration category. Corruption by views is purified by insight, and that insight is the understanding category. And corruption by misconduct is purified by good conduct, and that good conduct is the virtue category. 560. All creatures will most surely die because the end of life is death. According to their acts they go, reaping merits and evil's fruits. Evildoers pass on to hell is the way of demerit. The merit makers pass on to heaven is the way of merit. Others maintain the path in being and find extinction free from taints is the way that surmounts merit and demerit. 561. Herein, as to the way of merit and the way of demerit, these are one way that leads anywhere, one among the states of unease and another among the gods. And as to the way that surmounts merit and demerit, this way leads either here or there. 562. Now there are three classes, namely the class of those certain of wrongness, the class of those certain of rightness, and the class of those not thus certain. While the certainty of wrongness class and the certainty of rightness class herein are one way, namely that which leads either here or there, it is the class of those without the certainty herein that is the way that leads anywhere. For what reason? If someone in this class got the requisite condition, he would reappear in hell. If he got the requisite condition, he would reappear among animals. If he got the requisite condition, he would reappear in the ghost realm. If he got the requisite condition, he would reappear among the Asura demons. If he got the requisite condition, he would reappear among the gods. If he got the requisite condition, he would reappear among human beings. If he got the requisite condition, he would attain extinction. That is why this is the way that leads anywhere. 563. Knowledge as to cause and as to instance about this unlimitedly is called the Perfect One's second power, consisting in knowledge of the way that leads anywhere. 3. Knowledge of the world with its many and different elements. 564. The way that leads anywhere is the world of many elements. The way that leads either here or there is the world of different elements. 565. Herein, what is the world of many elements? It is the eye element, form element, eye consciousness element, ear element, sound element, ear consciousness element, nose element, odor element, nose consciousness element, tongue element, flavor element, tongue consciousness element, body element, tangible element, body consciousness element, mind element, idea element, mind consciousness element, the earth element, water element, fire element, air element, space element, consciousness element, the sensual desire element, ill will element, cruelty element, renunciation element, non-ill will element, non-cruelty element, the pain element, grief element, ignorance element, pleasure element, joy element, onlooking equanimity element, the form element, formless element, cessation element, the determinations element, the extinction element. This is the world of many elements. 566. Herein, what is the world of different elements? The eye element is one, the form element is another, the eye consciousness element is another, and so with all the rest down to the extinction element is another. 567. Knowledge as to cause and as to instance about this unlimitedly is called the perfect one's third power, consisting in the knowledge of the many and different elements. 4. Knowledge of difference in belief. 568. Many elements and different elements of what world? Whatever element creatures believe in, that they express and insist upon. Some believe in forms, some believe in sounds, some believe in odors, some believe in flavors, some believe in tangibles, some believe in ideas, some believe in females, some believe in males, some believe in generosity, some believe in inferiority, some believe in superiority, some believe in gods, some believe in human beings, some believe in extinction. 569. Knowledge as to cause and as to instance about this unlimitedly, thus, this one is outguidable, this one is not outguidable, this one is going to heaven, this one is going to a bad destination, is called the perfect one's fourth power, consisting in knowledge of how creatures differ in their beliefs. V. Knowledge of ripening of action. 570. As these creatures believe, so they come to be. For they undertake this or that kind of undertaking of action. They undertake action in 6 ways. Some through greed, some through hate, some through delusion, some through faith, some through energy, and some through understanding. 571. That action can be divided into 2 as that which goes with the roundabout and that which goes to extinction. 572. Herein, any action which someone does through greed and through hate and through delusion is black action with black ripening. Herein, any action which he does through faith and through energy is white action with white ripening. Herein, any action which he does through greed and through hate and through delusion and through faith is black and white action with black and white ripening. Herein, any action which he does through energy and through understanding is action that is not black and not white with neither black nor white ripening. That is the supreme action, the best action, and it conduces to the exhaustion of action. 573. There are 4 ways of undertaking action. There is a way of undertaking action that has presently arisen pleasure and ripens in the future as pain. There is a way of undertaking action that has presently arisen pain and ripens in the future as pleasure. There is a way of undertaking action that has presently arisen pain and ripens in the future as pain. There is a way of undertaking action that has presently arisen pleasure and ripens in the future as pleasure. Any such kind of undertaking action. 574. The blessed one, when he sees that an undertaking of unprofitable action has been stored up by this person, which, though as yet unripened, is just about to ripen, and so he is incapable of coming to the breaking out, does not advise him, as in the case of Devdutta, Sanakata, son of Lichavis, and any other creatures certain of wrongness. 575. The blessed one, when he sees that these persons have stored up some unprofitable action, but the undertaking of it has not yet come to its fulfillment. It is still before it has come to fulfillment, before it has given fruit, before it has obstructed the path, before it has exceeded the bounds of outguidability, advises them while their action is not fully undertaken, as in the cases of Poi, the ox duty ascetic and the naked dog duty ascetic. 576. The blessed one, when he sees that this person's undertaking of unprofitable action when fulfilled will obstruct the path, but it is still before it has come to fulfillment, before it has given fruit, before it has obstructed the path, before it has exceeded the bounds of outguidability, advises him while his action is not fully undertaken, as in the case of the Venerable Angulimala. 577. In all cases there is the light, the medium, and the outstanding state. Herein, imperturbable determinative acts are light, the remaining profitable determinations are medium, and unprofitable determinations are outstanding. 578. Knowledge as to cause and as to instance unlimitedly, thus this kind of action is to be felt ripening here and now in this life. This kind is to be felt on reappearance, this kind is to be felt in some subsequent period. This is to be felt in hell, this is to be felt as an animal, this is to be felt in the ghost realm, this is to be felt as an Asura demon, this is to be felt as a god, this is to be felt as a human being, is called the Perfect One's fifth power consisting in knowledge. As to cause and as to instance unlimitedly of past, future, and presently arisen undertaking of action, which is knowledge of diversity and ripening. 6. Knowledge of defilement, cleansing, and emergence, in the cases of the meditations, liberations, concentrations, and attainments. 579. There is unobstructed knowledge of actions thus undertaken, and of meditations, liberations, concentrations, and attainments thus undertaken, knowing that this is the corruption, this is the cleansing, this is the emergence, this is how it is corrupted, this is how it is cleansed, this is how there is emergence. 580. Herein, how many meditations? For meditations. How many liberations? 11 and 8 and 7 and 3 and 2. How many concentrations? 3 concentrations. Concentration with thinking and exploring. Concentration without thinking and with only exploring. Concentration without thinking and without exploring. How many attainments? 5 attainments. Percipient attainment, unpercipient attainment, neither percipient nor unpercipient attainment, attainment percipient of non-entity, attainment of cessation. 581. Herein, what is the corruption? Lust for sensual desires and ill will are the corruption of the first meditation, and the first 2 meditations are so for a shy meditator, or any concentration dealing with an inferior state. These are the corruptions. 582. Herein, what is the cleansing? The purification of the first meditation from the hindrances, and the attainment of the last 2 meditations for a shy meditator, or any concentration dealing with distinction, these are cleansing. 583. Herein, what is the emergence? Skill in emerging from an attainment. 584. Knowledge as to cause and as to instance about this unlimitedly is called the Perfect One's sixth power consisting in knowledge of corruption, cleansing, and emergence, in the cases of all meditations, liberations, concentrations, and attainments. 7. Knowledge of the disposition of creatures' faculties. 585. That same concentration has 3 ideas for its equipment, namely faculties, powers, and energy. Those same faculties come to be powers in virtue of energy. They are faculties in the sense of predominance, while they are powers in the sense of unshakability. 586. They have the blunt, medium, and outstanding states thus. This one has blunt faculties, this one has medium faculties, this one has outstanding faculties. 587. Herein, the Blessed One advises one of keen faculties with advice in brief. The Blessed One advises one of medium faculties with advice in brief and detail. The Blessed One advises one of blunt faculties with advice in detail. Herein, the Blessed One discloses a blunt, light, teaching of the true idea to one of keen faculties. The Blessed One discloses a blunt to keen teaching of the true idea to one of medium faculties. The Blessed One discloses a keen teaching of the true idea to one of blunt faculties. Herein, the Blessed One discloses quiet to one of keen faculties. The Blessed One discloses quiet and insight to one of medium faculties. The Blessed One discloses insight to one of blunt faculties. Herein, the Blessed One discloses escape to one of keen faculties. The Blessed One discloses disappointment and escape to one of medium faculties. The Blessed One discloses gratification and disappointment and escape to one of blunt faculties. Herein, the Blessed One makes one of keen faculties understand by means of the training in the higher understanding. The Blessed One makes one of medium faculties understand by means of the training in the higher cognizance. The Blessed One makes one of blunt faculties understand by means of the training in the higher virtue. 588. Knowledge as to cause and as to instance about this unlimitedly thus, this one has gone to this plane in keeping in being, and at this period, and with this kind of instruction. And this one has such and such elements beginning with the inferior, and such was the bias in his view, and such was his underlying tendency. is called the Perfect One's seventh power, consisting in knowledge of diversity in the several faculties of other creatures, other persons. 8. Knowledge of past life. 589. Herein he recollects his manifold past life, that is to say, 1 birth, 2 births, 3 births, 4 births, 5 births, 10 births, 20 births, 30 births, 40 births, 50 births, 100 births, 1,000 births, 100,000 births, many hundred births, many thousand births, many 100,000 births, many eons of world contraction, many eons of world expansion, many eons of world contraction and expansion. There I was so named, of such a race, with such appearance, such was my nutriment, such my feeling of pleasure and pain, such my life term. And passing away from there, I reappeared elsewhere. And there too I was so named, of such a race, with such appearance, such was my nutriment, such my feeling of pleasure and pain, such my life term. And passing away from there, I reappeared here. Thus with its moods and its phases he recollects his manifold past life. 590. Herein, among creatures passing on to heaven and creatures passing on to humanity, and creatures passing on to states of unease, the Blessed One knows without reserve, recollecting such and such existences. Thus, this person has greed, etc., prominent, and non-greed, etc., weak. This person has non-greed, etc., prominent, and greed, etc., weak, or whichever are prominent and whichever weak. This person has these faculties stored up. This person has these faculties not stored up, in that million eons, 100,000 eons, 1,000 eons, 100 eons, aeon, aeon interval, half aeon, year, half year, month, half moon, day, or hour, by means of this negligence, or by means of this confidence. 9. The heavenly eye. 591. Herein, with the heavenly eye, which is purified and surpasses the human, he sees creatures deceasing and reappearing, inferior and superior, comely and uncomely, well-behaved and ill-behaved. He understands how creatures pass on according to their actions. Thus, these unworthy creatures, misconduct in body, speech, and mind, revilers of noble ones, wrong in their views, undertaking actions due to wrong view, have, on the dissolution of the body after death, reappeared in a state of unease, in a bad destination, in perdition, in hell. But these worthy creatures, well conducted in body, speech, and mind, not revilers of noble ones, right in their views, undertaking actions due to right view, have, on the dissolution of the body, after death, reappeared in a good destination, in the heavenly world. 592. Herein, among creatures passing on to heaven and creatures passing on to humanity and creatures passing on to states of unease, the Blessed One knows without reserve. By this person such action was stored up in that million eons, day or hour, by means of this negligence, or by means of this confidence. 593. These two kinds of knowledge of the Blessed Ones, the knowledge of recollection of past life and the heavenly eye, are the Perfect One's 8th and 9th powers. X. Omniscience in knowledge of exhaustion of taints. 594. Herein, when omniscience was reached, when all ideas were found, when the spotless immaculate omniscient knowledge had arisen, when Mara was routed at the foot of the tree of enlightenment, that constitutes the Perfect One's 10th power, consisting in the knowledge of complete extinction of all taints. For the enlightened ones, the blessed ones, are possessed of 10 powers. The mode of conveying and investigation in combined treatment is ended. The Guide. B. Specification section. 4. Chapter 216 Modes of Conveying. Combined treatment, continued. 3. 595. Herein, what is the mode of conveying a construing in combined treatment? It is as follows. So let his cognizance be guarded, having for pasture right intention, giving right view first place through knowing, rise and fall transcending drowsing, and lethargy a bikume, abandon all bad destinations. So let his cognizance be guarded, having for pasture right intention. This is construable thus. One with guarded cognizance will be one who has for his pasture right intention. It is construable thus. One who has for his pasture right intention will be one who has right view. It is construable thus. When he abides with right view placed first, he will penetrate rise and fall. It is construable thus. When he penetrates rise and fall, he will abandon all bad destinations. It is construable thus. When he abandons all bad destinations, he will surmount all the fears of bad destinations and states of unease. The mode of conveying a construing in combined treatment is ended. The Guide. B. Specification section. For Chapter 216 Modes of Conveying Combined Treatment, continued. For 596. Herein, what is the mode of conveying footings in combined treatment? It is as follows. So let his cognizance be guarded. 597. So let his cognizance be guarded. This is the footing for the three kinds of good conduct. Having for pasture right intention. This is the footing for quiet. Giving right view first place. This is the footing for insight. Through knowing rise and fall. This is the footing for the plane of seeing, as the path of stream entry. Transcending drowsing and lethargy a bhikkhu may. This is the footing for energy. Abandon all bad destinations. This is the footing for keeping in being, as attainment of the three higher paths. The mode of conveying footings in combined treatment is ended. The Guide. B. Specification section. For Chapter 216 Modes of Conveying Combined Treatment, continued. 598. Herein, what is the mode of conveying characteristics in combined treatment? It is as follows. So let his cognizance be guarded. 599. So let his cognizance be guarded, having for pasture right intention. This is the mindfulness faculty. When the mindfulness faculty is admitted, the five faculties of faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and understanding are admitted. 600. Giving right view first place. When right view is admitted, the noble eight-factored path is admitted. Why is that? Because it is from right view that right intention is given being, from right intention that right speech is given being, from right speech that right action is given being, from right action that right livelihood is given being, from right livelihood that right effort is given being, from right effort that right mindfulness is given being, from right mindfulness that right concentration is given being, from right concentration that right deliverance is given being, and from right deliverance that right knowing and seeing of deliverance is given being. The mode of conveying characteristics in combined treatment is ended. The Guide. B. Specification section. For Chapter 216 Modes of Conveying Combined Treatment, continued. 601. Herein, what is the mode of conveying a fourfold array in combined treatment? It is as follows. So let his cognizance be guarded. 602. In the case of the word guarded, the language is any establishment of terms as follows: he keeps it protected, thus it is guarded, and so on with the other terms. 603. 2. What is the Blessed One's purport here? The Blessed One's purport is this. Those who will be desirous of being liberated from the bad destinations will be those who walk in the true idea. 604. 3. As to the source, because Kokalika corrupted his cognizance with hate for the elders Sariputta and Moggallana, he reappeared in the great Paduma hell. 605. 4. And, as to the consecutive sequence, the Blessed One is possessed of cognizance that has preserved mindfulness. For in the thread it is said that cognizance can be guarded by mindfulness, which provides the consecutive sequence here. The mode of conveying a fourfold array in combined treatment is ended. The Guide. B. Specification section. For Chapter 216 Modes of Conveying Combined Treatment, continued. 606. Herein, what is the mode of conveying a conversion in combined treatment? It is as follows. So let his cognizance be guarded. 607. So let his cognizance be guarded, having for pasture right intention. This is quiet. Giving right view first place. This is insight. Through knowing rise and fall is diagnosis of suffering. Transcending drowsing and lethargy, a bhikkhu, is the abandoning of the origin of suffering. Abandons all bad destinations, is cessation. These are the four truths. The mode of conveying a conversion in combined treatment is ended. The Guide. B. Specification section. For Chapter 216 Modes of Conveying Combined Treatment, continued. 608. Herein, what is the mode of conveying an analysis? It is as follows. so let his cognizance be guarded. 609. The profitable side, as stated in this verse, can be demonstrated by the details of the profitable side, while the unprofitable side, as the opposite of what is stated in this verse, can be demonstrated by the details of the unprofitable side. The mode of conveying an analysis in combined treatment is ended. The Guide. B. Specification section. 4. Chapter 216 Modes of Conveying Combined Treatment, continued. 9. 610. Herein, what is the mode of conveying a reversal in combined treatment? It is this, so let his cognizance be guarded. 611. When quiet and insight are kept in being, then cessation is their fruit, suffering has been diagnosed, its origin has been abandoned, and the path has been kept in being, by means of the opposites. The mode of conveying a reversal in combined treatment is ended. The Guide. B. Specification section. 4. Chapter 216 Modes of Conveying Combined Treatment, continued. 10. 612. Herein, what is the mode of conveying synonyms in combined treatment? It is as follows, so let his cognizance be guarded. 613. So let his cognizance be guarded. Cognizance, mind, consciousness, mind faculty, mind base, act of being conscious, cognizedness. These are synonyms. 614. Having for pasture right intention, intention of renunciation, intention of non-ill will, intention of non-cruelty. These are synonyms. 615. Giving right view first place. Right view is called weapon of understanding, sword of understanding, jewel of understanding, illumination of understanding, goad of understanding, storied palace of understanding. These are synonyms. The mode of conveying synonyms in combined treatment is ended. The Guide. B. Specification section. 4. Chapter 216 Modes of Conveying Combined Treatment, continued. 11. 616. Herein, what is the mode of conveying descriptions in combined treatment? It is as follows, so let his cognizance be guarded. 617. So let his cognizance be guarded is a description in terms of its footing applied to mindfulness. 618. Having for pasture right intention is a description in terms of keeping in being applied to quiet. 619. Giving right view first place through knowing rise and fall is a description in terms of presentation applied to the plane of seeing. 620. Transcending drowsing and lethargy, a bhikkhu, is a description in terms of abandoning applied to the origin. 621. May abandon all bad destinations is a description in terms of keeping in being applied to the path. The mode of conveying descriptions in combined treatment is ended. The Guide. B. Specification section. 4. Chapter 216 Modes of Conveying Combined Treatment, continued. 12. 622. Herein, what is the mode of conveying ways of entry? It is as follows, so let his cognizance be guarded. 623. So let his cognizance be guarded, having for pasture right intention, giving right view first place. When right view is admitted, the five faculties are admitted, right view being synonymous with the understanding faculty. This is the way of entry by faculties. 624. Those same faculties are science. With the arising of science, cessation of ignorance, nescience. With cessation of ignorance, cessation of determinations. And so the whole dependent arising, this is the way of entry by dependent arising. 625. Those same faculties are comprised by the categories, by the virtue category, by the concentration category, and by the understanding category. This is the way of entry by categories. 626. Those same categories are included in determinations. These determinations, in this case free from taints and not factors of being, are comprised within the idea element. This is the way of entry by elements. 627. That idea element is included in the idea base, which base is, in this case, free from taints and not a factor of being. This is the way of entry by bases. The mode of conveying ways of entry in combined treatment is ended. The guide. B. Specification section. 4. Chapter 216 Modes of Conveying. Combined Treatment, continued. 13. 628. Herein, what is the mode of conveying a clearing up in combined treatment? It is as follows. So let his cognizance be guarded. 629. Wherever the instigation is cleared up, the question is answered. But wherever the instigation is not cleared up, that question is not yet answered. The mode of conveying a clearing up in combined treatment is ended. The guide. B. Specification section. 4. Chapter 216 Modes of Conveying. Combined Treatment, continued. 14. 630. Herein, what is the mode of conveying terms of expression in combined treatment? It is as follows. So let his cognizance be guarded. 631. So let his cognizance be guarded is a unity. Cognizance, mind, consciousness. This is a diversity. 632. Having for pasture right intention is a unity. Intention of renunciation, intention of non-ill will, intention of non-cruelty. This is a diversity. 633. Giving right view first place is a unity. Right view is called knowledge about suffering, knowledge about the origin of suffering, knowledge about cessation of suffering, knowledge about the way leading to cessation of suffering, knowledge about the way, knowledge about the path, knowledge about a cause, knowledge about causally arisen ideas, knowledge about a condition, knowledge about conditionally arisen ideas. Any knowing and seeing how things are in the various cases, any actualization, complete penetration, coming to truth. This is a diversity. 634. Through knowing rise and fall is a unity. By means of rise, with ignorance as condition determinations, with determinations as condition consciousness. And so all the rest, that is how there is an origin to this whole category of suffering. By means of fall, cessation of ignorance, with cessation of ignorance, cessation of determinations. And so all the rest, that is how there is a cessation to this whole category of suffering. This is a diversity. 635. Transcending drowsing and lethargy, a bhikkhu is a unity. Lethargy is a name for unwieldiness of cognizance. Drowsing is a name for any sloth of body. This is a diversity. 636. May abandon all bad destinations is a unity. Compared with gods and human beings, the states of unease are bad destinations. But compared with extinction, all kinds of appearance are bad destinations. This is a diversity. The mode of conveying terms of expression in combined treatment is ended. The guide. B. Specification section. 4. Chapter 216 Modes of Conveying. Combined Treatment, continued. 15. 637. Herein, what is the mode of conveying requisites in combined treatment? It is as follows. So let his cognizance be guarded. 638. This is the requisite of quiet and insight. The mode of conveying requisites in combined treatment is ended. The guide. B. Specification section. 4. Chapter 216 Modes of Conveying. Combined Treatment, continued. 16. 639. Herein, what is the mode of conveying a coordination in combined treatment? It is as follows. So let his cognizance be guarded. Having for pasture right intention. Giving right view first place through knowing. Rise and fall, transcending drowsing. And lethargy, a bhikkhu may abandon all bad destinations. 640. So let his cognizance be guarded is the footing for the three kinds of good conduct. 2. When cognizance is guarded, then as bodily action, verbal action, and mental action is guarded. 641. 3. Having for pasture right intention. When right view is kept in being, the noble eight-factored path is kept in being. For what reason? Because it is from right view that right intention is given being, from right intention, complete as in 600. From right deliverance that right knowing and seeing of deliverance is given being. 642. 4. This is a person without trace left and the extinction element without trace left. The mode of conveying a coordination in combined treatment is ended. 643. That is why the Venerable Mahakakana said, 16 conveyings first, surveying, with plotting then of the directions, and having collected with the hook. 3 guidelines demonstrate a thread. The modes of conveying in combined treatment are ended.